I want to lay out a vision for terraforming. When I say terraforming, I mean the changing of an environment. Most people think of it as sort of like a space travel type of thing. Like we go out to another planet and we reshape the planet to meet our needs. One of the things that isn't talked about much in the media is that the perspective on climate change that is really exciting. We have gone forth and multiplied to the point where we have understood that we can change our environment on this planet. We, as a species, can change the environment of our planet. And we have incredible amounts of data that shows how to do that, most of it in a negative light, but there are also a million little different solutions out there for improving. If we had an Elon Musk that was solely focused on regenerating this planet, let me talk first about properties. For one thing, there are enormous amounts of property that are owned by banks because of foreclosure due to the system we have in place that has its focus on wealth creation for the individual. We have banks that own tons of properties. There are retirement homes where people looking to retire actually have to sell off or give up their own property in order to become members of those retirement homes. So we have these organizations out there that have enormous amounts of property that refurbish and sell it off. If there was a project with access to fresh water or with enough backing that its goal was to document expenses, document what improvements do work, what improvements don't work, let's say you take a large former farming community that is in dire straits. There are counties in this country right now that fit that bill. Actual counties of states. There are some states that are approaching that, where the entire state could be used as an experimental area to terraform our own world when it comes to intelligent farming, intelligent forestry, the way we desalinize water. Is there a way to desalinize water that both produces fresh water and energy? Okay, that's getting a bit ahead. Projects like this, I could never live long enough to see the end result. But if there was an organization dedicated to this kind of terraforming the planet we already live on, could we turn destitute areas into intelligent farms with vertical farming for the production of food? We have fast food restaurants that are just now starting to understand the value of plant-based food. Can they have their own farming communities that have intelligent vertical farming as well as integration with cattle raising? And are there intelligent ways of recycling the fertilizer that is created due to keeping cattle around? Is there intelligent ways to, if you had a big enough area, could you use them, integrate them in such a way that they enhance each other? Could you do it where desertification is an issue so that the intelligence of the design is meant to reverse the desertification of the area or to reverse the deforestation of the area? What we need are large-scale projects that are well documented both in record and video, not of just the success, but of the failure as well, and of the graph that is connected to these kinds of projects. Because one of the problems we have in this country is everybody wants a piece of the action. They all want their little piece of the money. That needs to be documented, where the money comes from, where the demands are, what kind of organizations are all interested in getting their piece of the production. It needs to be documented. It needs to be advertised. We need to find ways to be successful and to share those ideas with the rest of the world. We need to find a way to get people excited. One of the things that is going on right now is that there's this labor shortage. One of the reasons that nobody talks about with this labor shortage is the lack of desire to go back to work in an environment where you're at the bottom of the food chain. There's no community out there where going back to work means actually making progress in any meaningful way. It's just paying off credit card bills. It's just getting another mortgage, getting a better mortgage, getting another car, getting a better car. These things don't matter so much anymore. Or it could be made, the environment could be made where they just don't matter so much, where the job is the meaning, not just the, oh, I like the small business I work for, the owner's very kind to his people. We're making a meaningful difference. If that could be done on a large scale, I feel like this labor shortage idea could be used as a benefit, could be used as, we could turn it on its head and make it work for us to actually improve the world we live in. Is there a desire to go back to work for people who want to make a difference in the world, that want to change the world for the better? Is there a place that could be made for them where intelligent farming, intelligent forestry, intelligent use of water, intelligent collection of and use of energy? Because we have many, many models that show how we can create energy in a renewable way that can be integrated into systems that, think of this. Think of a farm that generates energy, not just energy for the grid, but energy for its own use, and then feeds back into the grid. Think of it as a large-scale farming community that can generate its own energy, clean its own water, and everything it does that is to the benefit, anything it does that is excess of what it needs, is used to generate the same kind of environment in the community surrounding it. So if the project is successful, it doesn't make a handful of people rich. It doesn't make a handful of people more comfortable. It spreads out to the next edge of the community and advances that. If that happened on a statewide level, could we turn an environment from could we change a large-scale environment from being a detriment to the environment, a detriment to the people that live there? And if we could, and it didn't just improve the lives of a handful of people, if it improved the lives of a community of people because of proper management and disclosure, because people around the world can see the project, can see how it affects the area where that project is happening. If we can make it successful, it could be duplicated around the world, anywhere that has the desire to do it. Think of how that could affect places like the Middle East or Brazil, where the rainforest deforestation is a problem. Think of, what if we could take a region of the United States and not only make it energy positive, environment positive, positive for the lifestyles and the quality of life, the happiness of life for the people that live and work there. But if you take it to its furthest extreme, could areas like that become wildlife preservations? Could you take endangered animals from elsewhere in the world and transplant them to the area if that is a part of the focus? Could you take... One of the inspirations for this was I was on a road cruise to Colorado, from Wisconsin to Colorado. Obviously, going through Nebraska, you have plenty of open field that was mentioned in another video. But when you go, I didn't want to go all the way through Nebraska on the way back. So I came back a little bit and I went north into South Dakota. And one of the amazing changes that happens there is that it almost feels like you've entered a different country, because there is an almost depressing region. And it struck me as the roads were different. There were roads that were just washed out. The road I was on was washed out, and it looked like it had been washed out for years. There was a sad little orange cone there, and everybody had driven around the washout so that they'd almost made their own little road. And I wondered to myself, why is this area so depressing? Everywhere I look, things are boarded up and shuttered. People I saw were very sad. And when I realized why the region was different, it's because it was Indian territory. And my jerk of a mind said, well, they're just not adapting very well. And that's not the case. There is no project to inspire them to, I don't want to be, what if this kind of change inspired areas like that are just run down? You can find them all over the South too. If they inspired it and made it profitable and more, if it improved the quality of life for the people who lived there, if it could be replicated in that area of South Dakota or areas of Mississippi or wherever, if it could be made an example, if you've got video evidence or video documentation of everything that's involved in the project, from selecting the land to what kind of graph is attached to the project, like permits and water usage rights, land rights, power accessibility, if it is documented and the idea from start to finish is put out there in a way that can be replicated. Can we start somewhere with the right investment, with the right backing? How many ideas in doing this project? How many of the little advancements can create their own patents, can change their own industries? These are the things, the types of changes we need, but we don't see them anywhere. We don't have an Elon Musk for the planet. We don't have, and I don't mean to put down Elon Musk, that's not my goal. He's inspirational in his industries. He's very successful at what he does. But we don't have another version of him that makes this profitable and makes this better for all of us in general around the world. I'd be willing to bet, just in my limited travels, I've seen plenty of areas that could be made for this change. And I've traveled in a very limited capacity. If I've seen these areas, if I've been inspired by areas I've been through, how many areas are there in the world that could be changed? But it needs to happen. It needs to be documented. It needs to be out there for people to see and be inspired by. Somebody like me, who I'm not even capable of sharing the idea articulately. I can't, this isn't my gift. If you want to change the world and fight climate change, you need an organization that has the financial backing and the inspiration, the creativity to change the arrow of progress in this world. It needs to be demonstrated that it can be done. It needs to, the obstacles need to be shown, the progress needs to be shown, the heartbreak needs to be shown, the success, triumph, and hope needs to be shared. I get it. This is not, I'm not good at these, so this isn't very clear. I step over my own sentences. But these are the visions, the ideas. This is one of the ideas I have when it comes to climate change. In my banner video, I'm asking for help to do things like this. I don't want a community to have to attract an auto manufacturer to improve itself. A county in some poor state shouldn't need to attract only industry. Maybe this should be a new branch of industry where we intelligently farm, intelligently forest, where we set up areas of preserve so that it integrates itself in such a way that it benefits the entire community and can be replicated and moved outwards to other communities. I realize I'm not that clear. I realize that this is probably confusing. My brain is weird, but I need help to do these things. I'm not even a farmer. I've been a painter my whole life. And about that, maybe construction design has just gone. In some ways, it meets codes that have made our standards of living very different. We have been able to build vertically in such a way that that cities and cityscapes and landscapes have changed. But at the same time, I've watched in my field where we build these properties that are just made out of crap material. They're put up fast and quick and sold for extraordinary amounts of money. It's going the wrong direction. I remember seeing that before the crash in 2008, which was a financial matter, which was the financial sector's problem. But at the same time, we're building these properties that were made from garbage materials. These houses that weren't even being built to last 20 years. Is there a way to integrate into these communities construction platforms that change how we code to build, how we live our lives, where we live, the actual buildings in which we live our lives? Because there are patents out there. There's room for advancement in all of those areas. How many of the little ideas you come up with will be made that are profitable? And instead of making just the person who came up with the idea wealthy, it makes the community more prosperous and it can be shared and replicated elsewhere. That is a change in focus of wealth, of personal achievement, of fortune and fame. These are the kinds of things I need help with, because I don't know where to go with these ideas. So enough about me. I hope somebody sees this that can actually follow my chain of logic and reasoning here. I don't think that that's going to be entirely possible, but I gave it a shot. Thank you for your time.